Welcome to the channel. Please subscribe if you like stories about the ancient world. For 7,000 years, they defied time. The dry wind of the Atacama Desert was their greatest ally, a perfect, natural custodian that held decay at bay for millennia. But now, in the sterile, climate-controlled silence of a museum, they face a new, invisible enemy, an enemy more relentless than the centuries, an enemy that threatens to erase them in a matter of decades. This is not their first death. This is their second, and it is a race against time to save the Chinchorro mummies from a fate worse than oblivion, the fate of being forgotten twice. The paradox is cruel. The very act of saving the mummies by bringing them into museums inadvertently exposed them to their greatest threat. For millennia, they lay in the hyper-arid sand of the Atacama, where the humidity often drops to 0%. Their bodies were frozen in a state of perfect, dry equilibrium. But the modern world has shattered that equilibrium. The climate change catalyst. Climate change is not a future threat for the Chinchorro. It is a present and active destroyer. Shifts in global weather patterns are causing increased coastal fog and higher humidity levels even in the Atacama. For mummies stored in local museums without ideal climate control, this means the outside environment is now working against them. The microbial awakening. Inside the pores of their skin, within the clay stuffing, and on the ancient plant fibers, dormant spores of bacteria and fungi have waited for millennia. They weren't dead. They were in a state of suspended animation. Now, with even a slight increase in ambient moisture, these microorganisms are waking up. They are feasting on the collagen in the skin, the lipids in the remaining tissues, and the organic binders in the paints. They are literally consuming history, transforming the vibrant red ochre and glossy black manganese into a fuzzy, destructive blanket of decay. What the desert preserved for 7,000 years, a little moisture can destroy in 70. Faced with this crisis, archaeologists have had to become forensic scientists and physicians. Their patients are 7,000 years old, and their diagnosis requires the most advanced technology on Earth. The diagnosis. Identifying the culprit. The first step is to understand the enemy. Using DNA sequencing, scientists can take a tiny sample from a patch of mold and identify the exact species of fungus or bacteria causing the damage. Is it a common airborne mold, or a specialized, extremophile organism that has co-evolved with the mummies? The answer dictates the cure. The non-invasive autopsy. How do you see inside a mummy without causing harm? The answer is computed tomography, or CT scanning. Just like in a modern hospital, CT scanners allow conservators to look beneath the skin. They can see the structure of the internal sticks, the density of the clay filling, and identify hidden pockets of moisture or weakness that are invisible to the naked eye. This is a map for preservation, showing where the mummy is most vulnerable. The battle for the microclimate. The front line of this war is the museum vitrine. These are no longer simple glass boxes. They are now sophisticated life support systems. They maintain a constant, low temperature and a critically low humidity level, often between 40 to 50%, recreating the stable, arid conditions of the desert tomb. The air inside is filtered to remove any microbial spores. The lighting is specially designed to be low energy and non-damaging to ancient pigments. The mummy lies in a custom-made cradle that supports its fragile structure without stressing it. This is intensive care for the ancients. But this scientific battle raises a profound ethical question. In our zeal to save them, are we severing their last sacred connection to their homeland? The Chinchorro buried their dead within their communities, among the living. They were meant to be a physical part of the landscape of their descendants. By keeping them in sterile museum boxes, are we, in a way, completing a process of cultural displacement that began with their excavation? Digital immortality. One powerful solution is the creation of a digital twin. Using high-resolution 3D laser scanning and photogrammetry, we can create perfect, millimeter-accurate digital replicas of every mummy. This digital archive is a form of immortality. It allows researchers to study the mummies without ever touching them, and it enables the creation of virtual exhibits that can travel the world without risking the original. If the physical body is lost, its digital soul will live on. The voice of the descendants. The most important conversation is now happening with the modern indigenous communities of Chile and Peru, who see the Chinchorro as their ancestors. What do they want? Is it better to preserve the mummies in a museum for education and science? Or is it more respectful to allow them to be reburied, to return to the earth in accordance with the natural cycle they once defied? There are no easy answers, only a shared responsibility to be guardians of a legacy that belongs to all of humanity. The story of the Chinchorro is no longer just an archaeological narrative. It is a living, breathing crisis in conservation science. It is a mirror held up to our own era, reflecting the consequences of a changing climate and our complicated desire to possess and protect the past. These mummies are a unique and non-renewable resource. Once a patch of skin decays, the information it held is gone forever. Once a pigment flakes off, the symbolic message is lost. Every day, the conservators in museums like the San Miguel de Azapa in Arica are fighting a silent, desperate war against entropy itself. They are not just curators. They are guardians of a flickering flame, a flame of memory that is burned for 7,000 years. Our generation now holds the responsibility to ensure that this flame is not extinguished on our watch. The Chinchorro cheated their first death. It is our profound duty to ensure they do not suffer a second. What is the right path forward? Maximum scientific preservation or respectful return to the earth? The conversation is as fragile as the mummies themselves. Share your perspective in the comments. If you believe in protecting our shared human heritage, help us amplify this message. Like, subscribe, and join us in the next chapter of this great human story.